we're not ever going to have a proper appreciation of what happened with Kirk. That story is we're not dealing with credible police forces. We're not dealing with credible administration in the United States. So whatever happened there happened. All we know for sure is that Kirk was assassinated. He was killed. He was shot. The person who did it was not a transferee. They were more likely, it seems to be, the person they have targeted or if they have arrested is a MAGA white Christian, came from a Mormon family, gun family, and was one of the people who would be a supporter of Kirk. So there's a lot of political pressure to suppress that. That being said, Kirk is dead. What was Kirk? I don't know the dude from Adam. I didn't really know much about him until this mess really came up. I knew he was up there with a few of these other lunatics on podcasters who are doing a lot of this mega stuff. Kirk's perspective on the world was, and just being absolutely factual, not making any personal moral judgment call on it. It was racist. It was white Christian nationalist, and it was violent, and it absolutely meets the definition of fascism. So not the greatest guy in the world. Deserve to be shot? Of course not. Nobody does. Did he personally say things like, you know, sometimes people have to die in order for things like the Second Amendment to be maintained? Yeah, he absolutely did. I think those are his exact words. I can cite that below here and I can give you the receipts on that. But anyways, that was Charlie Kirk. Okay, Charlie Kirk dies. That debacle we saw yesterday on the with where his wife was on the stage with the sparklers and the "I'm proud to be American" music and people in the crowds doing religiosity sort of cult stuff where they were screaming at the stage tells me that this movement has gone beyond a political movement and it's now moved into the emotional, spiritual, fascist movement. Um, so we've got another issue here. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this segment here, the Horst Wessel. Horst Wessel was a Nazi who was killed in a riot there in Germany when the Nazis were trying to take control, and he became the martyr for the Nazi cause. Martyrdom, when one of these people is murdered or is killed, it is politicized and weaponized and emotionalized into a device which is used to leverage the anger and the horror against absolutely everybody else. Now we go from the point where we can actually have conversations with people and debate issues, and everything becomes left, right, white, black, either or binary solutions. That is incredibly dangerous in politics. You cannot have a democracy where you have either or. You must have the gray zone. Democracy is the gray zone in between the two extremes. We are losing that. The Americans are completely done with that. So I fully expect that the United States is probably going to further dissolve into chaos, and people are going to be screaming at each other. And I will not be surprised if this does not lead to more violence in the near future. All right, next point. Canada's situation with respect to defense. Right. We are a NATO partner. We are a member of the NATO alliance, which includes the United States. We also have a special relationship with the United States based on something called North American Airspace Defense, which we've had since the 1940s. I think 1949. I'll have to check my math on that, but it was. But anyways, we've had a relationship where we have had joint decision making and joint control over the airspace defense of North America, Turtle Island. That is going to have to change. It is already changing, but we can expect that that's going to change. Golden Dome is not going to happen. I fully expect Carney to kick that can down the road as long as he possibly can, so that he can ensure that he gives himself as much space for Canada to maneuver as possible for as long as possible. But we are not going Golden Dome. It is a failed concept anyways. I can do a separate video on that. But if you want to look at Strategic Defense Initiative and everything going back to the 1980s, I can cite that. But basically, the whole idea that you can stop nukes coming in, like ballistic nukes, ICBMs, is a fool's errand. It's not going to happen. They come in at about 25,000 miles an hour. You have to have 100% targeting and complete kill rates if you're going to be effective, because one getting through is still the same as all of them getting through. There's no way that ballistic missile defense works. All it does, conversely and counterintuitively, is it ensures less stability, because it means that people are going to try to work around the system, and it also means that in the minds of people who are maybe making these decisions, first strike launch might actually work if you've got a shield that you're fairly confident is going to protect the homeland from whatever you chuck at somebody else. It won't work, can't work. It's a deal breaker. That's the Golden Dome. It's insane. It's bad. F-35 versus Gripen. Gripen is an awesome airplane. The Saab deal is very good for Canada. It means that we are basically every defense dollar that we spend on the Gripen contract with Saab and Sweden will be spent in Canada, paid to Canadians, and that money will stay in our economy. Therefore, functionally, it's not money spent, it's money invested in our entire circulatory system of our economy. So that's a good thing. Also, the aircraft itself is completely NATO compatible. It can carry whatever missiles and weapon systems we need it to do. It is an outstandingly proven aircraft. It's easier to maintain, and more importantly for Canadians, it's cheaper than the F-35 by far. I've watched the F-35 program since before it was even a thought in their head. And I've watched the construction and the development process and the design. It was okay. And up until the United States went functionally insane, I could see how it might not be a bad thing for Canada, but it is not a good fit for us, given that, one, Trump has already said that there are not kill switches on aircraft. What there is, though, is access to all the technology, all the computer systems, all the programming within the aircraft that can be spoofed. Spoofed is a term which means it can be compromised, it can be tweaked, it can be shut down. People can get control of it. If you're a sci-fi guy like me, you know Battlestar Galactica, how the new series, the 2003 series, started off there, where the Cylons basically shut down the colonial fleet by turning off all their computer systems. That's effectively what America could quite easily do, and Trump actually mentioned that he would do with respect to fighters that he sells to Canada. So we don't need that. Plus, they're expensive as heck. So F-35s, not a deal. We got 12. Apparently, we've already bought them, and if the government wants to cut bait on that, and Carney wants to say, yeah, we'll take those 12, but the rest of them are off, I'm okay with that. We can always use them as parts planes, as demonstrators, and we can take the technology and we can back engineer it, maybe use it for our own fighter, maybe an Arrow 2. Not a bad idea. Given what Saab is doing for us, that's going to be a big help as well. We need to make sure that we've got engine production in Canada, though, because we do need high-tech fighter engines developed in Canada. But again, the Gripen, you can fly it off of a highway for heaven's sakes. And you can fill it up out of jerry cans at the side of the road if you have to. They're designed for what we need. Point defense and able to intercept and attack various targets. For long range, interception, and over Arctic capability, I would prefer 2 engines. If we do that, I would suggest we go with something like Eurofighter Typhoon, which would give us the capability to look after the Arctic, which is another issue for another video. I digress. Further, next 12 months. Okay, next 12 months are going to be very interesting. Given the rate of speed that things have changed in the United States, I'm very concerned that we're going to see the United States further slide into, like, they're already fully fascist. They're no longer a democracy. Deal with the grief, go through that cycle of grieving, and get used to that fact. We are now basically, we are literally Austria living beside Nazi Germany before the Anschluss. We need to ensure that that we're looking after ourselves, but over the next 12 months, we also have to keep our eyes open to what's going on south of the border. I fully expect to see them either attacking Canada directly. That is not something that I actually ever thought I would ever have to say. If I said this 5 years ago, people would call me a lunatic. You might still call me a lunatic. Maybe I'm a lunatic. But what I'm looking at right now is absolutely everything that leads up to a war, including the language, the diatribe, the destabilization, the funding of Quisling elements within the country that is under threat, i.e. Polyev and Danny the Potato Smith, and their entire tempo of operations. My hope is that they will probably, likely, and I've got a toonie on the counter that I'm betting my father with this, they will fall into a civil war scenario before Christmas or before they invade Canada next year, in the next year. So 12 months. It will look a lot like that movie 2024. What was that movie Civil War that came out last year there about the American Civil War? That's the sort of low tempo, the troubles, like the Irish troubles, that's what we're going to see. More likely as a scenario in the United States as it dissolves and breaks into chaos. If they attack Canada, and that is on the cards, don't panic. I would recommend we prepare. I would like to see us personally looking at things like civil defense, and civil defense doesn't mean guns and shooting people. It can mean something as simple as ensuring that everybody coming out of high school is trained in first aid, CPR, survival skills, how to deal with like camping situations, the basics that you need in order to survive any sort of natural disaster or crisis. That's what I'm talking about. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge people have, the more confident they feel that they can face any threat that's coming. We need to do that, and we need to start doing that now. We are now in an absolutely different position than we were for the last several decades since the end of the Second World War. We are now back in a war tempo, like a lead up to a war. We have to be aware of that, and we have to brace ourselves for that. Reach out to your neighbors, have a 3-day pack, like all the survival stuff that you're supposed to do. It's not paranoid if they're actually out to get you. It's just good planning. So that is one aspect of what Canada has to do. The other thing we have to do is we have to deal with our communities, and we have to get much, much tighter and closer as Canadians with each other. If you don't know your neighbors, learn who your neighbors are. Start to get together, I don't know, barbecue or something. But get together, build community. Build community. Help each other. Develop skills that you might need in a crisis. These are the things, and prepare. These are the things that we need to do in order to weather any storm. I say that, and I don't know if this is a good quote or not, but the best, like fascism is a virus. It's a virus that is inherent in all human societies. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Fascism is a virus. But some countries are inoculated better than others against it. If we want to go back to like COVID, Canada has done a very good job through education of inoculating our citizens. We have a better grasp of history. We understand the issues around us to a certain extent. That is how we're going to win this. Fascism is a disease. Education is the only cure. And community is the way that we deal with the education and the disease. I'll work on my metaphors going forward. But, anyways, that's where I see us at. It's 15 minutes, and I've already wasted way too much of your time. This probably won't drop till tomorrow because my YouTube feed sucks because I live in the bush. But, anyways, I would much appreciate your comments, any input, any suggestions, anything you would like me to discuss and research and cover. Please provide in the comments below. I'm going to try to do this on a weekly basis, and hopefully, once I figure out what I'm doing, it'll be a lot more smooth and efficient. But thank you for paying attention to me and letting me waste some of your time. Hugh out.